Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Immergence Show. I'm so excited because today we are cracking the code on no code tools and how they're going to completely change how we create awesome immersive experiences. And to help us break it all down, we have got Pedro Jardim with us, a five-time founder who's all about making this tech accessible for everyone. Pedro has built some of the incredible companies, and now Anitya, which is a no-code platform for metaverse, and he is great at doing data-driven approach that is very inspiring. You don't want to miss this episode. Let's get into it. How are you doing, Pedro?
I'm doing very well. Thanks so much for having me on the show. Can you hear me well?
Yes, yes, we can hear you
That's
well.
great.
Thank you for
Yeah,
being here. And hi to all of our amazing community who are tuning in live or watching the recording. We're excited to have you back with us. We do this every Tuesday at 12 p.m. EST. Cool. So, Pedro, tell us a little bit about yourself, your story, how you got into this space, and, got to become an entrepreneur.
yeah. Well, I mean, when I was in university, I was already like started to get itchy because I wanted to do things and have more impact on doing things. And then from there, I started several companies, trying out different things, learning a lot by doing. So I've bootstrapped several projects, and my life has started in more in the cultural and social sector and was like offline businesses, so businesses that have to do with reality. And then in a later stage, I got more into tech, and but still kind of kept this connection with the aesthetics and the relationship with not just tech, but also keeping the cultural element in there.
Yeah, I noticed that the common theme among your past businesses are kind of like that community element, and then you used software to kind of scale the impact that you were doing. So, what would you say are some of the most valuable lessons that you learned from founding those previous companies that came in handy in what you're doing now?
I mean, I think most valuable lessons that I've learned it was like, firstly, most of the things that I did to start were bootstrapped, so we had to really do a lot with a little, and that's really hard, and it's really not. It is a lot on you, and so, but I think that was a big lesson, and I think second biggest lesson is how do you how do you control your biases, so how do you like base a decision based on data, so how you do that. And I guess this is has been a very invaluable lesson on really try to plan your decisions based on yeah on a process that then informs you based on the data that you get from the users.
Yeah, that's such a good point because a lot of times as founders, we often want to just do what we think is right, the gut feeling, the personal experiences. But the better way is actually trusting what the customers are telling us with their behaviors and decisions. So that's a really good point. Hi, Ian. Hi, everyone who is joining us live. We appreciate you being here. And yeah, let us know what you think about, like biggest lesson for your entrepreneurship journey. We all have our own story and our own kind of takeaways. So it's always great to learn from each other. And you did work with Purpose Ventures, Pedro. How would you say that shaped your approach in building an ETL?
I mean, purpose is sort of like a different framework of how you can determine the ownership of a company. And I guess the thesis of that organization is about giving a framework for entrepreneurs that are purpose driven and don't want to necessarily bend to just like a profit first motives of a company. And give a legal framework for them to do that, and also give the infrastructure to do that. I think like what it's very important in that regard is that you really create companies that are focused on the purpose of what is trying to solve in the world, rather than just a vehicle for only making profit. And I think most entrepreneurs start like this, but then there's like mission drift based on, yeah, profit incentives and so on. And this was like the framework uh, that I helped to create, and that is now being questioned if it's going to be a legal structure in Germany itself. So it's kind of evolving a lot. But yeah, we are not a purpose company per se, but there are lots of influence in the thinking, and how we also think about like how the community can play a bigger role in this. But we are doing that more in towards the blockchain rather than basing it in a legal structure like that. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. That kind of reminds me of the Public Benefit Corporation in the US, right?
Yeah, yeah. Public benefit corporation is like slightly different in a sense that is like it is also legally like it's like an agreement where you promise yourself that you will be a bit better, and there's some assessment like
Yeah, yeah,
ESG,
yeah.
and the purpose there is more like a thing where you say like you cannot exit and take all the money for yourself, so the money goes for the cause, so you have a cap there, and then only people that are working in the company are the ones who decide, so you don't have external investors that can decide. That's how it's in that framework. And you have like major companies that are working in this framework, from like Rolex to Zeiss to Bosch, and then obviously you have also like Amazon and Facebook, where like they have like A class and B class shares, where like the founders still keep the majority of the voting shares, so they still can kind of decide the direction of the company despite not having the majority. But this is like a broader conversation that goes a bit beyond what we are here to discuss, but they are very interesting topics.
Oh, I love it because our amazing community are actually a lot of them very purpose driven. We have Ian, Natalia, and Rafaela. I've spoken to them personally, and I know they're all doing their businesses very purpose driven. So that's what I thought is an interesting topic, and maybe they can reach out to you offline and ask questions and connect. That would be amazing.
Absolutely. I mean, please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or wherever.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm very available to chat.
Amazing. And thank you for everyone else who just joined us. Miguel from Spain, Barcelona. And I know Natalia is from Lisbon. Ian is from Austin. Rafaela is from Italy. Katerina, where are you calling from? We would love to know. It's a global community. Thank you for being here. And Katerina says exactly where we are right now, getting this MVP out to test and do our proof of concepts. Yes, everybody is working on great ideas at this point. It's a great time to be building with all the new technologies. And we're going to get into more specifics of Pedro's journey, which hopefully will be inspiring to all of you. So, Pedro, tell us about how you got into immersive technologies, like where this idea came from to think about democratizing immersive technologies.
Yeah, so basically, I've had a journey of working like in a blockchain space, but also then started a lab called Nukinko, and then within that we were working several corporations and also cultural organizations, and then this was like before the times of COVID, the dark times of COVID. But then we already started to experiment with like immersive tech, because in the cultural sector we were questioning a lot of like what are the ways you can bring us to the edge of what is possible to express within a website. And then we were just doing several experiments there, and then we realized that we were using something called Mozilla Hubs, which probably you're familiarized with,
Yeah.
which is was a project for Mozilla. They shut it down. The community is running it, but there was a lot of limitations on that because you could not build a proper backend, and there was like lots of limitations there. And we were like, okay, well, how else can we do this kind of things? Like there's VR chat, and we were trying this, but we were like, oh, can you build a website that is fully immersive, that is multiplayer? How do you do that? And then there were like frameworks to do this on Unity, and or you could also use Unreal, but obviously
Mm-hmm.
it's very heavy. And then we're like, okay, is there a way, like the same way that people were able to like improve like the ways to build websites, is there a way you can do that also with like this type of technology, this gaming technology? And then we stumbled upon this community called Godot. Is the biggest open source game engine in the world. It's very thriving. It's like, I mean, it's like 200,000 people on Reddit, 100,000 people on Discord. Is a very active gaming community, and we started looking, and we saw that the code is very nice, it's very
Yeah.
light, and is a very elegant basis. And then we started engaging with that, and then in that process we did build our MVP on that. We were working at the time with the Goethe Institute to build like the sort of like immersive world infrastructure for like German classes and so on. And then we ended up engaging with Ariel, who is the co-founder of Godot, and he got along with us very well, and he ended up joining us as a co-founder and CTO of our company. And we kind of decided for that technological infrastructure where that we see is going to be the basis for the like for the next iterations of the web, because I mean we inherently believe that any basis should be open source because it gives a much more opportunities. So, and yeah.
That's amazing. And I don't think like it happens every day where you kind of start from an open source technology and then like you turn that to a profitable potentially company. So how was that journey? If you can share a little bit of that, it's like
Well, I think like it's a matter of like the target audience, right? Godot, it's like very it's very much driven, like it's pointed towards developers. And so it's like, like open source is great, but it's not convenient, right? It's like
mhm,
you need to go to GitHub, and you need to download, and you need to
yeah,
learn a lot of
yeah,
things, you need to connect a lots of plugins.
set things
So
up.
in the case of for us, what we do is like you just go to a website, and you don't even need to know how to code, and you already run everything for you. So we are not targeting the same audience, we're just making what is possible for giggy people, more for visual people, because we believe that for this technology to go forwards, you don't necessarily need to have something where geeky people only know how to do, because the storytellers and the people that are the visual driven people are the ones who make things that then scale to audiences that then are able to understand it, right? So that's the thesis why we developed some sort of layer that makes it much more accessible for
Amazing.
visual people. Yeah.
Thank you. So basically, using that as a tool, not necessarily like relying on everything else that was open source. That's helpful.
Yeah,
Cool.
the open source is the basis. Like we build it on an open source basis, and then we build some
Like
sort of
Meta is open sourcing, but they also have their own Meta AI that is more focused on their services. Got
exactly. I mean, the open source is exactly correct.
it. Got it. Hi, Casey. Hi, everyone else who's tuning us now. We're talking about all things no code, metaverse, immersive experiences, whatever we call it these days. So let's talk about some of the challenges that you notice exist in the immersive technology space, and how do you think these no code tools are really addressing them?
Yeah, I think like major challenges that we have on that space is like it is not so trivial to build the infrastructure for that. So it is that.
You okay?
Oh, sorry. I just one sec, 1 second. It
I
just
know
I just
Pedro
open
is
a tab.
in
I
the
just open a.
background trying to make
Uh,
sure that our presentation for you guys is
No, I
ready.
was no, I was just like trying to share on LinkedIn myself, but then you started talking on my LinkedIn, and I was listening to your voice twice,
Oh
and I was like, oh,
no.
okay, no, all good, Oh, good. No worries about that. So yeah, basically your question is related to so how do you lower the barrier of entry? So in order for the space to grow, it needs to there's two things that need to happen. It's first we need to lower the barrier of entry for the creation process, and the second we need to lower the barrier of entry for hardware. I believe that the future of immersive is not necessarily bound to VR or like us using a smartphone. I believe the future of immersive is coming with augmented reality and the usage of glasses. We can see already on the Meta Ray-Ban glasses that there are in many places in the world already selling more than the Meta glasses, the Ray-Ban glasses themselves without being the smart ones. So we
Mm,
can see indications for that future happening. And so I think like people get very confused with a three-dimensional internet because we are used to work and operate in two dimensions. And so both from the building perspective, it's not so trivial to like understand how to manipulate a three-dimensional space, and also from the usage perspective, especially if we are using mobile devices or tablets or computers that are two-dimensional. The VR is a great starter there, but it's like I see it more as a use case for like training, because for training it's very useful. But AI is where it becomes very interesting for like everybody, right? Where you can imagine use cases that will be affecting everyone, and especially this touch between AR and AI, and we will talk a bit further about this I think later here, and I'm very excited to share some ideas and some use cases in that area.
sure, sure. Yeah, so let's play that video about like the overview of how your platform looks like,
Yeah,
and then we can get into the other aspect
one
of the discussion.
sec. Yeah,
Awesome. So you can tell us what we're seeing here.
yeah. So this like is both inside of worlds as well as in the builder here. It's all based on the web, so you don't need to download anything. You go there, drag and drop objects, and then you create triggers based on those objects, and then you can deploy applications that can be used both on computer, on mobile, but also on the VR headsets, right?
And are these like white label type of solutions, or do they have
Yeah,
to
we are
always
completely
be
white
on?
labeled. No, you
Okay,
can build it like within our URL, but you can also have a completely white label as we have for like schools, universities, and also companies. They can have their complete white label solution there.
that's cool. That's awesome. And what would you say are some key attributes of your platform that is kind of different, from other platforms out there, like a spatial or VR chat or others?
I think like firstly we're not based on Unity, which makes us at least 10 times lighter than
Hmm.
the other platforms. So that means we can run on pretty much
And
any device. And also the building process is more accessible in the sense that we are like really focusing on visual people to be able to build. So you don't need to like have like I mean on spatial if you want to do anything half decent, you have to download Unity, so which means you have to learn Unity, right? On
mm,
VR chat, the same, right? So it's not that you can start like building there without becoming a Unity developer. So that's
yep.
exactly what we're trying to solve, and we're trying to make it much. I mean, we have like use cases built with like in 4 days with a designer that now are being used in like Fortune 500 companies for internal training, and where you would have had a team of five building this with Unity for like 1.5 month or something. So it's much faster as well to build and much lighter to run. For example, we have a partnership with Lenovo, and we used they have a VR device, and there we were up to 333 times more efficient than the same using on Unity. And for example, the FPS or using Anitya is like 4 times better than than using uh,
And for
Unity.
our
So
audience that don't know FPS,
FPS is frameworks per second. Sorry,
and
yeah,
what
it's
does
like
that mean in the application of the product? So it's like the clarity of the visual or
no, it's just like if you're using VR,
processing.
if you're using VR, I mean, the eyes are able to process 24 frames per second, but like if you're on VR, you want to have more frames per second because otherwise you're probably gonna get dizzy because you're gonna turn around and things will be like kind of like this. And already VR is a technology that will make you dizzy
Anyway,
anyways.
right.
Exactly. So but the issue also is comes with the battery, like imagine we're going towards a future where we're going to have this low energy devices, right, which is normal glasses that will be able to project reality inside,
Mm.
like augmented reality.
We
So
don't
one
want
of
it
the
to lag. Yeah,
you want it to be super light because also you want the battery of a glass will not never be like a crazy battery, right? So look at the Vision Pro. It's got like an appendix battery because the battery is a real issue. So our solution comes very handy because when it runs, it doesn't take so much battery usage and space or
that's really cool.
energy.
I mean, a lot of people complain that they may not necessarily have the strongest smartphone or the computer. So all of that really matters in terms of like using a platform this light. So that's amazing. I want to thank our amazing audience for being here, Alexander, Casey, Ian, everyone. If you have any questions, comments, if you have used Godot platform or Anitya, or like you have any questions about how to use it, let us know while we have Pedro with us. Yeah, Pedro, why don't you show us how the platform kind of looks like? And then we're going to get into some of the case studies so people can more practically understand what this is all about.
Yeah, I can just show you. This is like, I mean, I'm gonna start something from scratch here, and let me create something here. So I have like a white canvas basically here, and then here I would just like drag and drop objects, right? So I'm dragging here some desert thing, and then I'll just put a house on it. Just make it very simple here. Yeah, put a house on it. Let's say I have my starting point. Let's move it up and starting point, bring this character over here so that it starts here. But then when I click here, I can just like, for instance, I'm enabling collision in those objects on this house as well. And I don't know, put a skybox. So let's say, let's make it a day like this, drag and drop here. The skybox is changed. And let's say I'm just gonna, it's really simple, right? I'm just gonna save and continue here. And then I'm already inside of whatever I started to build,
In
right?
just a few seconds.
Yeah, it's just a sex. I mean, it's very bad. Like, look, I cannot get into the house because I put the floor in the house, but there's all the collision here. Maybe I can get it through the window. No, I can't. Maybe I jump here on the balcony. I can get inside here, but maybe I'm too small. No, I can get inside and go down the stairs. But like you see, there's no light here, and so on. And so I'll say like, no, let's come back here. Let's add some light. Let's add some triggers, and then you have like like a smart object here. I'll add some directional light coming here on top of the window. You see like now I'm illuminating inside and I move it around, so it's all really like very fast and intuitive. We're launching very 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 soon multiplayer builders, so you can just also build in multiplayer mode, so you can be sitting there with like two three four people building it. Now you see the light is a bit nicer, and even if I go inside, I can see the stairs because I put some light from outside that is reflecting on the doors, and so on. And here it's just like I can change my avatar, and you can have it in first person, so you can imagine how is it with VR, and you can put triggers. But if you touch this happens, and so more. That's the basic here, so you can see how fast you can get going. And then here I would just like share that world with somebody, and you could kind of come inside of this world right now.
Wow. And are there templates too to
Yeah,
kind of not a start from a very scratch?
yeah, we have like here templates, so when you start you can just like start from a template, like I don't know, it's
Yeah,
when I start
sometimes for the
creating something, and then basically it's already like loading like this is a gallery where you can like put art or whatever you want to do. So you can go inside here. It's got all the elements inside, and then you'll be able to just like, I don't know, take an image here. Let's say I have some, this is a skybox images. These are images are like 40 megabytes, but anyway, let's they will take a second to to load, but then I put in, you see how big they are. They're 4K images. So, but yeah, I can make them smaller here. Like I can change the scale of them here, you see, and
Yeah.
then based on the scale, I will be able to just like look at
So it's
them
very
and
much like other platforms in that sense. It's just
you
more
see,
straightforward, lighter. So if you've
yeah,
used spatial or other platforms, you should know the basics of drag and drop.
yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
sure you guys have tutorials. Is that right? Like on your YouTube
Yeah,
channel?
yeah, we have tutorials people can learn, and also you can join our Discord, and
Right.
then you can be there. Yeah, you can learn it all on the Discord. But there's several templates that you can use, and yeah, just
That's
start it from
amazing.
there.
Thank you for sharing. Alexander said he's already starting to discover the platform and looks accessible, like it. And Natalia says it's nice aesthetics too. Yeah, I noticed like even there are some like fashion ones, and when I was exploring, yeah, so it's like
I must say something. You see, we are in beta here. We're moving out of beta very soon with our new version that is coming out that allows you to do multiplayer, and we're also having a new rendering. Like there's some issues with the Mac computers that they don't allow you to render in a certain way. So we're evolving the rendering. So also the quality of the renders will improve drastically. So there are lots of really cool things happening. For instance, also text to 3D text to voice. There's lots of like AI tools that we are adding there that are already super cool to play. I don't think we have in this version here, but like text to 3D is is amazing. Like it's a
so
very
basically, if you're imagining an item, you will be able to make it and bring it to your space.
yeah. It takes right now. It takes still 1 minute to for them to do, and we are working on the ways that you can like make it simpler and faster. But like yes, you can just basically do that in just like write I want a Mickey Mouse that looks like this, and then our system just creates the Mickey Mouse for you, and then you have it as a 3D object there. I mean, I can stop sharing. Maybe I can even show you.
And what about the platform, like the builder side? Are you incorporating AI on that as well to
Yeah, the
like,
builder. That's what I'm saying. We have.
beyond like just the asset, like the whole space? Can you just like prompt this space and create this space?
Yeah, you can prompt. Right now, we can only prompt and create objects.
Object.
And we are working on something that it will be like helping you to create a space. So we are like basically we believe the future of this technology is augmented reality, and we believe that this technology will be like a mix between you talking with AI and then having AI showing you things, and we are cooking something very interesting in that direction. Yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing. Miguel is asking, can you share the link to the platform? Um,
Sure, it's like
in the
Anitya dot space. Can you do? I can't share
Sure.
there.
I'm not sure.
Anitya dot space. You can
Yes.
share.
I hope that this works because sometimes the StreamYard doesn't talk to LinkedIn. Yeah, I don't think it's working. But
Yeah,
yeah, you see the Anitya,
dot
Anitya.
space. You worked exactly. I see dot space. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
it popped on YouTube, but not on LinkedIn. These platforms are still not perfect. Cool. So let's talk about the use cases. So there's this great platform. You can do almost anything you want to do. But what are the use cases that you have seen be more popular?
So just to answer Alexander, yes, you can. you can enter with the Oculus. Right now we have a client. The client is on hidden in the Oculus App Store. If you want to have the address like of the client, I can give you. And basically, it's a client that you download into your Oculus, and then you go into whatever URL of every world that they want to enter, and then the client will open that world in VR for you. And on have another version of our tech which we open for some of our closer developer community, where you can already build for VR with all the triggers and everything. And there is also like some AI. So if you're interested to get access to that special uh, one, just ping me. I'm happy to introduce you and then put you in Discord, and you can get access to that. Yeah, it works, and it works super nicely on Oculus. That's really nice.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for the great question, Alexander. Cool. So yes, let's talk about the industries that you think are, and I would love to hear from our community as well. What industry do you guys think is most impacted by accessible immersive technologies? Is it going to be education? Is it going to be healthcare? Is it retail, entertainment? Like, what do you all think needs these immersive experiences that are so easy to use more? And I would love to hear what Pedro has to say on that as well.
Yes. So yeah, my take is right now on VR, training is the most impacted area on the corporate side, and because you have like, I mean, you have many cases. Yeah, health as well. So, but it's also a lot of training in health. So it's like we have cases where like doctors get trained on how to check their patients using VR. So you have all the sequence and all the things for operations. Also, like we have a lot of cases on like factory floors, for example, training on how your employees will handle
Mhm.
turning off a machine and cleaning this machine without having the risk of being cut, because usually the trainings are now done by some multi choice computer intranet thing, and now you have a much more realistic training with that. You reduce the risks, and you have like uh, uh, that's where we see the biggest, like, it's mostly like jobs that have some risk, or training that you have to train like thousands of people. And obviously it's much better to train in an immersive context than just having to do that. So we see that in that phase of the technology right now, this is the most impacted area. And
Thank you.
we
No,
yes,
I love it. I actually want to have a supporting comment on that. I was at the AWE conference. I don't know if it was last year or the year before that, and I heard from someone at Walmart. They trained over 1 million employees with
yes,
VR, and when I asked him why VR, why not like just any immersive experience, they said because of the focus, and like all the distractions will go away for that employee, and then also it's just like a lot more realistic and memorable. So yeah, totally agree with that. But I mean, other use cases that Natalia and Alexander mentioned are also valid. I know
yeah,
Natalia is working on a great project. If anyone is interested in VR related to health use cases, definitely talk to
yeah.
Natalia.
I would
And
love to. I mean, in health, there's so many cases you can train, but also like we even have like cases built on us, where the hospitals are asking to have a VR experience for people, for example, taking blood,
mm,
because they are afraid of the needle. And then they put this thing there, and then you have some entertainment. Meanwhile, you're doing an operation or things
I
like this.
always do that. I always look at my phone, distract. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, and then events and retail, we've talked about it so much on this show, that, there's so many use cases where you can make the experiences more engaging, memorable, because it's such a saturated space. There's so many companies, so many brands, they want to sell so many products. So yeah, we have to kind of stand out. But yeah, and like not everybody with a great idea or great passion has to be a coder. So I think that's a really great opportunity that you're providing. Like Natalia and I have been talking about this. Like she has brilliant ideas, and direction, but it's just like she's not a coder. So these are the great solutions for that.
Absolutely.
Amazing. So if you want to share with us your screen, and maybe show us some of the projects that you've built before, that may give people more inspiration of like how they can imagine their own projects with tools like
Sure.
this.
Let's start with something like related to the health. So
Sure.
this
And
is
in the
like,
meantime, if anyone has any question, please put it in the chat. We would love to hear it. And yes, Rafaela would love to. And Rafaela is an amazing metaverse architect. So
oh wow.
yeah,
Yeah,
she
we have done a
would
lot
be
of
great.
stuff in architecture as well. We even did a big collaboration with the ETH, the Zurich, in Zurich, the university, where we taught a whole semester using our tool for the architects to build and validate
Wow.
their yeah. So you're not listening the audio here, but basically this is a training for doctors. So the
Wow.
doctor go here, he has an interaction with the patients, and it has all the whole sequence. He checks the temperature, checks the pressure, and he learns all about the whole sequence on how you will do the certain interaction here.
Wow.
That's one case. I
Nice.
can get another case here. This is like a real estate company, and they are
And just to pause right there and the use case of what you showed, it's like a lot of it might not be necessarily all the like, physical stuff that they're learning. A lot of it could be like soft skills that they're practicing. I've seen like even for
absolutely,
flight attendants and use cases like that. It's like you want to be able to manage your emotions and your interaction, like social skills, communication skills. So like just putting them into difficult
absolutely.
scenarios.
This is this is I would like to connect with like what Alessandri has raised and events and retail, because I think right now for social skills is we're not yet there, but
Mm,
there's lots of use cases out there. I'm just showing our use cases. There are some use cases out there, but I think what we are cooking now is going to enable like so many more applications on
mm,
so many areas, especially retail, events, and also like all those kind of trainings. This is like some sort of condominium place where you can like you go into the condominium before you buy. You understand how the pool works, how the alarm system works, how you can live there. So it's like it's used on like a lot of events where like this company shows like how you can like live in this condominium and what you can do there. And I think that's an interesting case here. This is built, this is built also by some of our uh, users, which built like this whole training for the school where they teach like the history of the dinosaurs, right? So you have like all the evolution of the dinosaurs, and you can walk around, and then you can just basically go closer to a dinosaur, and then the dinosaur tells you about their history, and it's like you can see the dinosaurs in scale. So it's kind of like an interactive
like a safari experience.
yeah, it's like a safari experience, kind of like that's also
Very
super
cool.
cool. uh, this is like also on the educational sector that's been built for uh, for the understanding the Newton laws. So it's kind of a world where you go inside and you can play with the Newton laws, and you can just like interact here with like it's like inertia. You will just go like onto through the laws and play, and then see the effect when you press the button. Like the iron will just fall like further, or here
So who
depending on
would
the
be building these? Is it going to be like teachers or schools, like
well
for the
no
students? Like,
yeah, it's more like the usually schools like to buy this content already, and we have like a very good incentive for we have a creator community that can do that.
hmm,
But
just a
yes, this has been built.
collaboration.
I mean, this whole thing has been built in 4 days by a designer, right? That's what's important. It's not like something you take like months to do, right? So it's very simple. It's just the triggers, and then I think you can fly outside on this. you can go at the end and you can fly and then you just like learn. And now
Yeah.
obviously this is all three-dimensional. Let me see if I find something cool here. There's some also classes here. There's like more for retail. You can imagine like you can do kind of things here and walk in the shopping mall, consult prices and buy products and then create. This is also super doable and it's been created in several ways here and it's
And
all
these are
like
just some
multiple.
examples. So, like, people can take the tool and just incorporate their creativity ideas and
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
just do amazing. Like Chris, our amazing friend, he has been building, and I'm sure like this is a better tool for him to start building in as well. It's just like a lot of creative folks in the community may not like or want to code, but this is a very accessible way to bring their ideas to life very quickly. And what about the price? What would you say is like the pricing model for
we have we
individuals?
Yeah, so we're a freemium service, and so you can just right now we are in beta, so we haven't launched our paid yet, so you can just pretty much play. And we are launching very soon, like the paid version, and they will come with like a very accessible pricing, but they will be adding new features with it. So we are basically keeping the features of the beta like this for you to play, and then we have some really crazy features that are adding a lots of value that then you we will charge for. And then of course we have this white label, completely white label thing. For example, like a Fortune 500 company has like a www.theirwebsite.com where they log in and then they have their own courses, they have their own insights of like how many of their employees have done this course. And it's like that's then that starts with $600 a month, but that's and that allows up to 200 concurrent users to be inside of the same space. So and you have a limit of words, but then you pay for more worlds. And also there are some API integrations that you then can use, and there are some things that come on top, but this the basic is $600 for that. And
Yeah.
then the basic one that starts with for the builder, it starts with $20 a month. Yeah.
So it's very much like the pricing model that we have for website builders in
Yeah, similar.
2D, right?
Yeah,
And
very similar to Webflow or something like
for a
this. Yeah.
corporation, they're already used to paying for these platforms anyways, and this is just better because it's 3D. So thank you so much for sharing, and thank you, Natalia, for sharing the Discord link. We appreciate you. In terms of the challenges, so I mean, you talked about all the great stuff. What are some of the limitations or challenges that you have experienced that you're hoping that as technology advances, this will go away?
I mean, like obviously there are limitations with no code. We are adding, like right now on our beta, you can have like some limited type of interactions. We are launching something called Events Manager, which is like comes with our next steps, which comes with many other tools and parts of our evolution. And there you'll be able to connect APIs and connect many kinds of like gamification possibilities. um, Inside of this events manager, we have a scripting system, which it enables you kind of to use code there, like,
Hmm.
and there's something we take very much care of because once you start injecting code into something, you can break everything. And so, but yes, we are working towards that, and that will enable even you to do a lot of more very personalized
Customization. Yeah.
customization things. Yeah. So I think the major limitations in the market right now, I think, have to do with hardware and
Mm-hmm.
like adoption. Like I think, like if you've seen what Meta brought out this week, like this new glasses prototype, I think we need to have like more a clear path And with Google XR, like last year, this was very clear. I mean, Google pretty much says like, okay, now everything is going immersive, and every Google Android app can have immersive elements in them. So it's like we know the industry is going there. We need to have those massification of hardware adoption, and then we will be able to enable very very interesting use cases, right? And that's where, yeah, that's where I'm so excited about and going towards. Yeah.
So what would be like the difference? Because right now your platform is completely virtual. And if someone wants to, is it possible right now to build for AR or not yet?
Not at this point. We are. It's on a roadmap for the beginning of Q3 this year, and it's not very different. I mean, you just need to integrate computer vision, and there's certain interactions we could do that, but we are not yet there. So yeah, but I think just AI is one thing. The other thing is just like we're asking ourselves a lot the question on how do you, like, right now we have this like explosion of AI agents, right? And you have kind of like all these chat interactions to, and
Mhm.
automation processes that are enabled through that. And we are very we're very much interested in seeing a world where a non-coder can give life to AI gamified characters in a way that they can serve a particular purpose.
Hmm.
Uh, so they could be store attendants, they could be a tour guide, they could be, uh, I don't know, a customer support agent to help you figure out how to fix your washing machine that is not working and point you to the right thing. So we think there is a huge
Always
space.
on.
Yeah, it's just like, people like right now, if you have a problem with a brand or something, you either rely on a human, or and then you call, and then you kind of show really like, think once you have computer vision, AI, and the ability of those AIs to understand a product really well, or like a situation really well, we think there is a space there that we are very very hard working on, that something very 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 big can come out of. And yeah, so that's the space that we are working towards and very excited about.
That's amazing. And so the overall industry, where do you think it's heading? What is coming up in the next 5 years? The AR glasses, for sure, that seems to be top of mind for you. But what else do you think is changing?
Well, I think like, so firstly we need to have we need to have a massification of the hardware assets, and now we have like AI as a key element of everything, right? So you have like a great part of AI for the creation process, but then you also have AI for like the kind of like, I think like the whole interface, I don't think we're going to be using like in 10 years using computers anymore the way we use. I don't think we're going to be using smartphones that way. I think we will be more like in a blended world between like physical things and virtual things. And probably the the helpers that will help you solve your things and do your work, they will be kind of like avatarized, or they will be kind of styled in a way that you feel very comfortable with, and as being like your employees or your helpers, and they are like kind of co-living with you in the everyday life. And
Yeah.
that's where we are kind of like seeing it moving and helping contributing it to move that way. And so we're super excited to make that accessible, that people can build those kind of applications without having to use code, right? And it's totally possible with what is out there now in terms of technology. I mean, it's so fast, how it's moving.
Robotics specifically, like we watched some of those demos, like the robot
Yeah,
lives with the family and does everything. So I personally cannot wait for that to come.
yeah,
and become
Yeah.
popular. So I heard that you also have been working on Web3 side of things. I would love you to share a little bit about, like what do you think about that space, how that connects to what everything you're doing, and kind of like
Yeah.
what's coming.
So Web3 side of things, I mean, we have been very, very close to the Web3 space, and we're very excited about it, and we are working towards something that is still on still mode, so I can't share everything, but it's basically connected to the next evolution of our product, but mainly the Web3 space. We don't see the Web3 space as the next thing where the brands will interact with Web3. We are less interested on that first, but we're more interested on like how can we create better economies for the creators to be able to profit out of their creation in a better way and be able to retain the ownership of their creations and be able to control their creations better. So it's very much focused on like sovereign creators and creators that are actually like are not being uh, I don't want to say abused, but like taken advantage of through platforms. And we want to create a way that it doesn't put us in a position of like centralizing the ownership of things. Yeah.
So when your community creators, developers are creating an asset, for example, they will be compensated whenever that asset is being used, for example, right?
Yeah, like for example, we're thinking more about like templates or like sort of like smart um, characters that you're able to create for certain functions and how you what types of workflows you create with them and how you then template those and then how you can rent them, how you can sell them and then there's like an economy being built on this because for us we want to be successful by making a living for many people.
Yeah.
That's in our heart and
Creator
our intention.
economy. Yes.
Yeah, so that we are just a tool for creators. So that's important. And Web3 has some elements that enable this to be very done in a good way. So that's why we are interested in it.
Automating it. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
and
I
bringing
mean,
transparency and so on. So that's good.
that's great. That's definitely top of mind for a lot of creators. The closest I can think of is like, how in ChatGPT we have different GPTs that people have
Yeah,
created, and you put
correct.
in work to make that happen.
Yes,
And then if it's like publicly available and it's free, like what about the work that you put in? um,
correct.
so yeah, it's an interesting one, but it also goes back to like the intellectual property laws and stuff too. I don't know.
Yeah,
So only if the platform providers like you are thinking about it when we will have something. Otherwise, if we just leave it up to the governments, they probably wouldn't worry as much. Cool.
yeah.
Is there any other topic that you would like to cover, Pedro, that we didn't get to discuss?
Maybe somebody has a question and
Yeah,
wants
if
to ask
anyone
me.
has any great questions and comments or, just thoughts about this discussion, please put it in the chat. And yeah, we're very excited about everything that is coming up for Anitya. It's like very exciting stuff, very accessible tool, very affordable. So you guys should all get onto it today. Like start building.
Yeah,
Just play
yeah.
with
Let
it.
us know if you have any questions. We have like on Discord. We're pretty active. This week we are our company headquarters is based in Brazil, so it's
Nice.
Carnival. So our team is a bit more quiet this week on Discord, but I'll be online. But like yeah, the Brazilians they
I
are
love
very
the
much
party.
they are on Carnival. That's
Me
given
too.
to them. Yeah.
Really cool. Awesome. Yes, work-life balance. Make sure you have fun, not just working all the time. Cool. So next week we have another amazing guest, Nick Hill, coming from Sawhorse Productions on Tuesday. So you guys make sure to follow along. And then I'm also hosting a fashion show here locally in LA. If anyone is in LA, Monday or Tuesday, hit me up. I would love to see you in person, It's an ethical luxury fashion show. I'm hosting some panels there. And then following week is GDC Game Developers Conference. And if anyone is coming, I would love to see you in person. We probably take a break that week, and then we'll be back from there. And Pedro, if you decide to come there, definitely let me know. I would love to see you in person as well.
Yeah, yes, I'll let you know. I might do that, but I'm tending not to until now. But let's see how the next week evolves.
Yeah, let me know. Yeah, thank you so much, Pedro. This was amazing. Really enjoyed learning. Is there any closing comments you have? Any other, takeaways for our audience?
No, just super excited about the future of that technology. I'm super excited to be in a world where we have a aesthetical and pleasing relationship with AI in AR, and so machines and humans can live in a beautiful way. And I think thinking from that layer of how we design that interactions and having the sovereignty to design that interaction in the ways we want, I think is very important for that. And so yeah, super excited to be working on this, to have this opportunity, and yeah, thanks for having me as well.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. It's just a new medium for everyone to bring their ideas to life and share it with the world, which is really powerful. Thank you so much for doing this for the world, and for sharing all of your insights. And thank you to our amazing community being engaged and always supporting us, Natalia, Rafaela, Alexander, Chris, Paula, and everyone else. Ian. Miguel who tuned in. We're so grateful, and be back next Tuesday at 12 p.m. EST. Thank you, Pedro. Have a great
Thank
rest
you
of
so
the
much.
day.
You
Take care.
too. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Bye bye.